to be determined slanderous. So with those comments, could we have an opening karakia, which Councillor Thurston has kindly offered to present.
Social, economic, environmental, and cultural well-being.
Thank you, Councillor Thurston. We're all present and correct, so there are no apologies. There is no public forum today. Item 4, items on the agenda. There are none to be added to the agenda. The order of business, there will be a change in the order of business. So concluding some preliminary stuff, we will be moving into public excluded to deal with 10.4 at 9:45 a.m. We will then, at the conclusion of that, go back into public. Can I have a mover and seconder that we change the order of business? Councillor McMillan, Councillor Thurston, all those in favour say aye. Against, carried. Declaration of conflicts of interest. Are there any declarations of conflict?
9.4 only.
Thank you, Councillor White. Councillor Crosby. Public excluded business be transferred into open. There is none. Can we go through the Regional Council minutes of the 29th of June? We have a resolution. They've been true, correct. Moving Councillor Denise. Yep, Councillor Winters, second. Thank you. All those in favour say aye. Against, carried. Any matters arising out of those minutes? Councillors on to alter. Councillor Winters.
Oh, just on that Smith Road culvert, but I just want to talk a bit. That's in publicly excluded. Can we get back to that later on the meeting when we go into publicly excluded?
Thank you, Councillor Winters. Can we just note that, Chief Executive? Anything else, councillors? If not, we will move on. We have the chairperson's report, so that's page 36 of your agenda. I'll move the receipt of the chairperson's report. Are there any questions? Explanations required? Councillor McMillan.
Oh, yeah, just wondering if we could have a summary of the 12th of July Te Whare Wānanga or Aonuarangi Climate Change Symposium in Whakatane. Just a sort of brief overview of that for those that weren't there.
So who was there? I was there, Councillor White was there, and I think that was it. So essentially that was just a presentation from Honourable Hekia Parata in terms of the review of her / inquiry on the East Coast. From my perspective, I thought it was a very fair presentation from Hekia. I wasn't there for the question and answer session afterwards because I had to leave, but it's an issue ongoing that has become part of the government funding program for, was it, what do you call those stages? Stage 3 houses, is it? For removing, and then the subsequent cash contribution or advancement from the Crown to remedy some of these issues. Councillor White, you were there for the discussion?
Yeah, I mean, her paper is entitled Outrage and Optimism, and it provides a 42-page document, so it's apparently an easy read. I haven't read it yet myself, but about 19 recommendations. The issue for them is around better purposing of land use, but the notions of sort of retreat are very much in the front line. You've got soft rock mountains to the background of it, very much failing all the time. You've got highways which are oceanside being pushed out. You've got the Wahapu River, which is a very large river, creating all sorts of nature's events. And basically, you know, things talking about a highway on the ocean, transport through that system, all sorts of things that, but the issue really is about needing to move and better use of land. Forestry is not seen as the enemy, but it's certainly one part of the equation on how to better purpose that. So really, you know, I thought, as the chair said, it was a pretty good presentation by Hekia, and might be something useful for the council to hear. an invitation from Te Hikia to actually deliver that, Chairman, because they did talk about retreat, managed retreat. They did talk about the pains and aches of a community that's beset with flooding and all sorts of things. You name it, they've got it. They've got erosion, they've got slips, they've got highways that are taken away. They've got massive problems, a multiple of problems, and probably the great case study for the rest of us in the context of developing future strategies. So that was my take from that.
Thank you, Councillor White. And I think the suggestion, if there's appetite from councillors, to invite Honourable Hekia Parata here to give you a presentation. It was only half an hour, wasn't it?
Half an hour.
It was only half an hour. And let's note that the panel, which she chaired, was somewhat critical of some of the local government processes in Tairāwhiti in particular. But I'd have to say that in the presentation, she didn't labour that. She raised some issues, and it may well be advantageous for us to hear her perspective of that. So I think, Chief Executive, sometime, can we fit that into a schedule?
I'm
Mr.
just
Winters.
looking at Ruben, so we'll try and organise it for ops and monitoring, Mr. Chairman, this year sometime, either September or November meeting. Done.
Thank you. Any other questions on the Chair's report? If not, we're slightly ahead of time.
Just need a seconder, please.
Do we not have a seconder? Councillor Von Duddleson, has it been moved
Yes, by you.
and seconded?
Yes.
It hasn't been passed as a
Oh, it
resolution.
hasn't.
Okay, all those in
Sorry,
favour of receiving
I've
the,
just got one more question, and I don't know if it's relevant here, but in terms of the local government AGM and the remits, I just had a question around what does the co-chairing look like for this council, and when does that commence? And
so that was a remit that was put on the table by Northland, and it went to LGNZ. So the first step, I presume, is that LGNZ at National Council level will look at that resolution. But what we do as an entity is essentially up to us. So that resolution is not binding on us, but it may well be an issue that LGNZ want to elevate in terms of taking a national position.
we
And
can
I
have a
think there needs to be a legislative change as well. So they need to have to put it to Parliament, and they need to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Councillor Nees.
Saying that, we do have a co-chair arrangement for Te Aupu,
yeah.
which you're already in. So it doesn't stop us from doing it if we want to, but perhaps not in some of our big statutory committees.
Thank you. Right, councillors, I'm advised we have Mrs. Sue Suckling with us. So I'll move that we go into public exclusion.